Hello guys, Gaming Dad 56 here. We're back for another episode of the $10 million challenge. So, if you remember what we did last time, we paid off our loan. We finished with about 15,000, which is what we have now. And but we got that loan paid off, which was really big. Our fields are currently all seeded and growing. If we look at soil composition, they all need plowing. We haven't got around to that yet. They are all fertilized in the first stage. So what we do actually need to do is fertilize fields 12 and 14. Now, that brings us to a slight little issue. We do have it. Okay, we need to go get ourselves the fertilizer spreader. But we also eventually are going to need a tractor with care wheels, which we do not have. So what we're going to need to do sometime in the relatively near future is probably get a workshop. And the reason I want to get a workshop is that it's going to save us a lot of money in putting on different wheels and things like that. Every time you go down to the store and use their workshop, it costs you $1,000, which, you know, it's kind of a big deal. Okay, so instead of incurring $1,000 every time, it's probably better for us to just buy the workshop. And we still cannot fertilize yet. Were you guys waiting to tell me that? You can't fertilize yet because we just planted this. Alright. Well, let's park him here. Since we can't fertilize, that's the next thing we need to do is fertilize these two fields. Since we can't do that right now, I think it's time to go do some missions. We've only got $15,000, which means without taking out a loan, we can't really go buy anything, or we can't really go do anything. I don't want to take out a loan because we just spent our money to pay the loan back. So I think what we'll do instead is we'll go do some missions. Let's see, which field should we try to run a mission on? Probably not one of the huge ones because that'll take up way too much of our time, take up way too much of the episode. What about field 24 here? What can be done? Well, we could earn a nice $2,000 by, looks like, spreading slurry on the field. Let's do it. I'm also looking a lot at field 24 and 23 for missions because these will likely be the fields that we want to buy fairly early on in the game. Where are you at? Oh, a little too far. There we go. Hook it up. Forward. Start spreading. Yeah, so since we want to probably buy fields 23 and 24 fairly early on in the game, I think doing a lot of work on these two fields is going to be really beneficial for us. It's going to get us the better reputation with the other farmers and allow us to buy the fields for a little cheaper when we are ready to buy the fields. So that's the plan. We'll probably do a lot of work. These are also a little bit smaller fields, which means that the work doesn't take quite as long to do. If I could make a lot of money by going and doing a job on field 5 or field 31, but then I would have to probably time-lapse the video, or you guys would get super duper bored. Eventually we'll get to the farm to the point where we have enough of our own fields where I don't have to do these missions as much, and we can just spend our time doing stuff on the farm. But right now we're just not at that point. But I also don't want to fast forward time and waste this opportunity to make money by doing missions. So we're just gonna keep rolling with some missions. Again, the whole goal of this series is really just to get to $10 million. So I could do that by fast forwarding and just working our own fields, getting them to the point where they're ready to fertilize and doing that, and fast forward again, etc., etc. But then I'm going to spend a lot of time fast forwarding, and I don't know if that's really all that interesting either. So, you know, I want to involve you guys in as much of this process as possible, and I also want to make money. So when we have downtime like this, we're just going to go do some missions. The other thing that we could do, and I've been debating on this one, we could go look for the gold nuggets. That would get us a nice $1 million right off the start. And that would be pretty helpful. Allow us to buy a couple fields, get some bigger equipment maybe. So that could be something that we look into pretty early, trying to find some gold nuggets. Really, that's not all that hard, since you just have to find the first 10, and then the game tells you where the other 90 are at. It's just a matter of going and picking them up. But again, like I said early in the series, we're going to make money any way we can in the game. And the gold nuggets are part of the game. So we might as well take advantage of that. I just haven't decided if I want to do that this early or not. Okay, so nice. $3,500 there for that job. Nice and easy. Let's take a look at what else he has. Nothing. Well, that's not helpful. There we go. Sometimes it does that, and I haven't really figured out why. But you'll hit R to come up with a new job, and it just says there's nothing available. Then you escape out and do it again, and it's right there. So I'm not sure why it does that sometimes, but it does. Okay, now we've got a plowing job. Which makes sense. We just spread slurry. Now we're going to plow. This time we're looking at about $8,000. You guys may have noticed, rarely do I ever pick up the front weight on these missions. The way I look at it, it takes me more time to back up and hook the front weight on. And clearly, as you can see, for a lot of these missions, that front weight is just not necessary. So why waste the extra time? That's my philosophy. Alright, lowered. Unfold it. Over here to the edge. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's some terrible driving. Who's driving this thing? There we go. Much better. Alright, and we're off. So I think what we might try to do here is just go through an entire cycle with this field. Not an entire cycle necessarily, because we would have to wait for crops to grow to be able to harvest it and stuff. But I think we'll try to get as much done here on this field as we can. This field is a nice size to be able to do work on and not have it take too long. And yes, I'm aware that this is not how you would actually plow a field in real life. Like I have said before, this series is not focused on super realism. This is focused on making $10 million. And since I can turn the corner fairly quickly, that's how we roll. Whoa, 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 whoa. I could probably turn the corner a lot quicker if I didn't drive like a maniac. Jeez Louise. It's like, who gave me a tractor license? There we go. Whoever at the DMV gave me my driving test and said that I passed, they should be fired. Clearly, they should be fired. You know what I found though? In all honesty, I play with the steering wheel, and outside of the cab, I play so much inside the cab now, that's what I'm used to. Outside the cab, it actually is a little harder, because you don't have the steering wheel inside the cab, like you do inside the cab, to reference like your steering. Well, you have to kind of look at your front wheels, and for whatever reason, for me, that just, it takes longer for my brain to process that. So if we're in here and I start to turn the steering wheel, you can see the little tiny steering wheel movements that I'm making. But outside the cab, those little movements, you can't even see them. So I've gotten so used to working in cab now that outside the cab, I do look like I've never driven a tractor before. Whoa! There we go. I'm trying to get us on track here. I'm doing a very poor job of it, but this is where GPS mod would come in pretty handy. I'm kind of holding off on GPS mod at the moment. I'm just trying to play it without for a while. Actually, up to this point in the game, I know we used Courseplay early on, or we recorded with Courseplay early on, but we didn't really need it at that point. I'm kind of trying to play the game here at the outset like it would have been if you had started this game like day one when it released and there wasn't all the mods available for it. We don't have that many mods downloaded and in the game. And I'm not really using a lot of GPS in Courseplay. I will eventually use GPS in Courseplay a lot, so it's not like I'm going to play without those, but right now I'm kind of playing without GPS because this is how it was when the game first came out, and you didn't have the ability to make sure you were driving completely straight lines. And that was a little different, so it's kind of interesting to get back to that. When you play with GPS all the time, like I usually do, you get very spoiled by it. Like right now, I would just lock in my GPS and sit back and let the tractor drive itself down the field, but I can't. I have to be constantly paying attention to my steering. So it's different. Makes you focus on the game a little more, which is good. I think we had 17 minutes to do this job, if I remember. Anytime I say if I remember, that's a big if, just so you guys know. I don't remember things all that well. So I think it was 17 minutes we had to do this job, but I could definitely be wrong. We're down to 13 and a half right now, but we are quite a ways through the field, probably more than a third of the field done here, and we're making a lot of progress now. Excellent. So yeah, I hope you guys have been enjoying the first few episodes. It's kind of an interesting series to get started because of course you're getting started just like anybody else would at the beginning of the game, at the outset of the game, when you don't have good equipment, you don't have very many fields, and there's not a lot to do. Farm Sim is just notorious for that kind of a start. It takes a while to really feel like you're getting going. I know a lot of people have complained about the mission system. I like the mission system personally because I think that's one of the biggest benefits to it is it no longer takes you forever to get started in the game. If you have some downtime like we do right now, just hop in and do some missions and you can make some money. Whereas before, once you planted your 3 fields or 1 field, depending on which year of farming simulator you're talking about, you just kind of have to sit there and wait for time to fast forward and wait for your crops to grow. So it is nice. You can almost consider it like a little bit of a head start when you do the missions. I think we'll do a few missions here. We'll see how much is left and how long this takes us. We're gonna plow and then probably fertilize again, I would think. And then after that, I don't know, maybe we will cultivate, or maybe we'll seed, I'm not sure. It's been a while since I played like the base game, the way it was, you know, the way it came out of the box. And I've played with quite a few mods that actually alter the economy and also usually alter the mission system a bit, so. We will see. If we can get some good jobs done on this field, if we can get to the point where this field is done, or we've done all the jobs that we can do on it for the time being, then maybe we'll go hunt for some gold nuggets. Again, the reason is the same as why I like the missions. It just helps you get a head start at the beginning of the game. $1 million later in the game isn't necessarily going to make a huge difference, because the bigger fields cost almost $1 million anyway. The bigger equipment, like the Big Bud DLC, you know, the tractors, and the biggest tractor in the Big Bud DLC is $500,000 by itself. And you know, it would make anytime you can get $1 million, it's going to make a difference, but it's going to make a much bigger difference at the beginning of the game. Instead of only 3 fields, we could probably buy 2 more fields and really expand our farm, or get rid of the old harvester and some of the old equipment and really upgrade to some bigger equipment, which will help us cover our fields a lot faster. Covering the fields super quickly for me is not, I mean, obviously we'll want to get there, but right now it's not a huge deal, because when I'm done with my fields and have time to kill, I can come do the missions. And right now the missions are going to make us a lot more money than our farm is. So it's not necessarily a terrible thing to have some downtime. Now, I don't want tons of downtime necessarily, but it's not a bad thing to have some. We are getting there. Almost 75% done. This plow does make fairly quick work of the field. Now that we have the Big Bud DLC in the game, I'm curious to see if any of that will come up in the missions. I've seen mods come up in the missions before for the equipment that you get to use. And I'm curious if the Big Bud DLC will do the same. It would be really cool to go over to Field 5 and do a mission on that field and get to use the Big Bud tractor, or you know, the cultivator that comes with it, or something like that. We'll just have to see. We'll play around with it. Every once in a while, we'll have to go over and check those big fields. Unless I do a time lapse at the end of a video or something, I don't really plan on doing the big fields like that. And it just takes way too much time. To harvest one of those fields is like a 2-hour process. So even if I time lapse that, it's going to take up basically the entire video worth of time, and it's just going to be time lapsing. I don't know. That doesn't seem like it would be a super interesting video to me, but maybe you guys do like that. If we really get to the point where we need to make some money, I may just end up doing some of those big field jobs off screen or something like that, and that way you guys don't have to watch it, even in the form of a time lapse. But we'll see. I don't want to do much off screen. I want you guys to be able to be here for making the money. This is the $10 million challenge, and I don't want to be doing a bunch off screen. To where, you know, if I'm doing a lot off screen, if I'm finishing one episode and I show up to the next episode and I got $100,000 that I didn't have before, you know, I can say, oh, you know, I did this mission or whatever, but how do you guys really know where it came from? So that's one thing that I hesitate on doing, is doing much off screen. So I want you guys to be able to see, like, yeah, this is where the money comes from. There's definitely no cheating going on here, because it's way too easy in this game to just give yourself $10 million and say, hey, I got the $10 million. So I don't want to do that. This is the getting to $10 million legitimately challenge. We should be done any second here. Boom. There we go. A nice $9,400 there. That works. Okay, what's next? See, we're already up to 28,000. Look at that. That's not going to get us what we want. Cultivating. Alright, we can do this job. This will be nice and quick. 14 minutes. A little under $6,000. That's easy. You guys can kind of see, this is actually what I like to do for missions a lot, is pick out some of the smaller fields. Not tiny fields, but just smaller fields. And just run multiple missions on them. You can just sit here and run the same field over and over again, and get a lot of money because you do a lot of different jobs on it. If you do the plowing, cultivating, fertilizing, and everything like that, well, we'll see when we get done. We started today with $15,000. We're not paying out any money for worker fees or anything like that. And so we'll just see. We'll finish up this field, we'll do a few jobs, and see how much we end up with. We've already made $13,000 off of 2 jobs on this field, so you know that's a good way to go about it. There we go. So, if anybody else has the Big Bud DLC, let me know, and definitely let me know what you think. I am super excited about the Big Bud DLC. I love seeing the big farming equipment, and we've had some of the trackers in game now with the cat, or the Challengers, and the Case Quad Track and the New Holland T9. So we've had the big tractors, and there's been some big equipment, but it's nice to see more big equipment coming into the game. A lot of times the DLCs tend to focus on smaller equipment, or kind of what I would call auxiliary equipment, stuff that's not, well, let's just put it, it's not overly exciting. Big Bud, you know, you've got the 2 big gigantic tractors that come in, and you've got huge cultivators and seeders. Whoa. Let's just continue the streak of terrible driving here. So it's nice to have some of that big stuff in the game, and in the game by giants. I know that there's a lot of people out there making mods and making mods of some of this big equipment. But, I mean, let's be honest, some of the mods out there are just not very good. So, anytime you get something like this made by giants, you know the quality is going to be there. And it's nice to be able to play with equipment like that. Big and good quality. By the way, guys, if you don't have a pedal and steering wheels for Farm Sim, I highly recommend it. I recently got mine. Before that, I was playing with a joystick and throttle setup that, you know, you would use for like flight simulators, which that worked out really well. That was considerably better than keyboard and mouse. However, The pedals and steering wheel setup is just awesome. It really is. This is by far the best farm sim setup that I've used to date. There we go. Now we can go straight up and down the field, hopefully. And by straight, I mean somewhat straight. Since this is a mission, things don't have to be perfect, and I really just want to try to take advantage of the full width of my cultivator. So these rows are going to end up being not straight whatsoever by the end of the episode, probably, or by the end of the job. At least we get to use a nice sized cultivator. It's not a huge one, but it is a decent size. This will probably be the cultivator we end up trying to get next as a replacement for the cultivator that we currently have. I think it's like 6 meters wide or something like that. It's just a nice cultivator. What we really need is a plow. Hopefully with some of this money that we get from these jobs, we can afford to get a plow. I know there's quite a few things we need. We need to get a plow for sure. I would like to get a new harvester, but I think that's going to have to take lower priority unless we start getting some fields. I would also like to get a larger cultivator and larger seeders because the ones we have are just tiny. So, a plow, larger cultivator, larger seeders, I think those are going to be like our main priorities at first. If we can get all the gold nuggets and get that $1 million, then we could easily move on to some larger equipment and also probably buy a couple fields and maybe even get a bigger harvester. That would really get us off to a good start. There we go. Excellent. I also noticed the other day, and it's been up on the forums for a little while, but I just noticed it the other day, that Doral, the maker of the more realistic mod for Farm Sim 11 and Farm Sim 13, is going to make a more realistic mod for FS 17. And I cannot tell you how excited I am for that. I love the more realistic mod for Farm Sim 2013. It was a game-changing mod for me. It made the game so much more fun to play. So I am really, really looking forward to that coming out. He is working on it right now. It's kind of in beta stage. And I would assume he'll probably do something like he did for 2013, where he releases the mod and it'll make the base game equipment more realistic. And then if you want to make any mods or anything like that more realistic, you just have to do a little converting. But in Farm Sim 2013, I converted several mods that I really liked to more realistic on my own anyway, and it really wasn't all that hard. So when that comes out, I actually downloaded it. I downloaded the beta version of it, and I've been testing it out a little bit. When that comes out, you might have to do a little series with the more realistic mod. It's just so cool. It changes the game a lot and makes it really, really different. And in my opinion, quite a bit better. Tractors start to feel like you're actually driving tractors instead of race cars, and just a lot of other things. The economy system gets changed around quite a bit. How much seed it takes to plant fields based on different crop types is completely different. So it's a lot of fun. Okay, here we go. There's some good money there. We're up to $36,000 already. So we've made $21,000 just on jobs. Time to seed the field. Excellent. Okay, let's do this one. We're just going to keep going until he tells us he's got nothing left for us. Doing it this way has a lot of benefit. If you do this on a field that you think you're going to purchase soon, you know, it's really beneficial because you get a good reputation with that farmer, and then when you go to buy the field, you get the discounted price. So that's one reason I really like to do it this way. If I need a lot of money, I'll sometimes just go do a big field and get a lot of money. Oh, are you kidding me? Whatever. Just go with it. I'll sometimes do that. I'll just go do a big field and get the money from it because it just takes so long. But if you endure that long, you know, what do you want to call it, marathon of a job, then you get a lot of money out of it, and you can go off and buy some cool stuff. We are stuck. Fantastic. Four-wheel drive. Okay. The tractor, if you don't put it in four-wheel drive, it won't turn that sharp with this gigantic seeder on the back. Good to know. Good to know. Alright, well, we got four-wheel drive on now, so we should be good. Probably just going to go one headland around this field and then start going up and down. And again, guys, I'm not worrying about being perfect on these fields because this is missions and you don't have to. I wouldn't plant my own fields like this. That's okay. This is the kind of equipment we need for our fields, so we can cover a decent amount of distance, a decent amount of field area in a much smaller amount of time. Okay. Do that, turn around, and start going up and down the field. I don't even, let's see, what was it, about $4,400 for this job, I think? So we might walk away from this job with about $5,000, which means $26,000 we will have made today, just from jobs, or, you know, in this episode. That's a pretty good deal. To make 26 grand while our fields are just waiting to grow. Not a bad gig at all. Yeah, looking at the time, I think we're going to finish up this job, and that's going to have to be it for this episode. Man, how time flies when you're having fun, right? Just making money, doing jobs. So we'll finish up this job, and we'll call it an episode, I think. Then we'll have to figure out what we want to do in the next episode. Whether we want to keep running jobs like this, or if we want to go off and do something else. Do we take an episode and search for gold nuggets? Who knows? Who knows? If you guys have any input on that, what you would like to see, feel more than welcome to comment below and tell me, hey, yeah, it'd be cool to see you go find some gold nuggets, or, you know, no, don't do that. We'd rather sit here and watch you farm for hours on end. You know, whatever. Just let me know what you guys feel like. Otherwise, I'm just going to go off and do whatever I feel like doing. already over halfway done with this field. Man, we definitely have to get ourselves some of this equipment. I think back to 2013, Farm Sim 2013, and how much of a grind it was to get going on that game. And I look at this now, and this is just so much better. You know, it's the game does actually have to be fun, and when you have to start off and play, you know, 20 hours of game time just to, or no, I'm sorry, 20 hours of real time just to be able to buy another field or upgrade one piece of equipment, it really decreases the fun of the game. And if you guys remember Farming Sim 2013, it was that one dinky little field that you had that was only like half a hectare. It was tiny. You didn't make any money off of it. Your harvests were so small you couldn't hardly make any money, and it took forever just to get, you know, a little bigger tractor. Plus you started with that FAR M66 combine, which was absolutely tiny and slow as could be. And so I don't know, this is a much better start to the game. You have 3 fields instead of 1, so that's much better. Your equipment right off the bat is a little better, and you know, that's a funny thing. I don't mind starting with that older equipment. It can actually be a lot of fun to start with that older equipment, but when you only have that one field and you can be done with that field in 5 minutes worth of playing time, but then you have to sit there, whoops, you have to sit there and fast forward the time for 10 minutes just to get your field to grow so you can do another 5 minutes worth of work, all to make like $3,000. It was really frustrating. And you know, in 2013, I think that's why you saw people get into mods so early, and you saw a lot of mods that were what I would call kind of cheap mods. They were equipment at extremely discounted prices. You know, and a lot of times people would say, well, it's used equipment or whatever. But I mean, you know, there were a lot of mods out there that you could buy in store for $1 or $10 or something like that. But that's the reason why it was there, because it was so difficult and time consuming just to get going in that game. I'm glad that they've made it less like that now. And the mission system is a big part of that too. You know, we've already paid off our $75,000 loan. So we got, actually got a little over $6,000. So we've already paid off our $70,000 loan, $75,000 loan. We've got $42,000 sitting in the bank, and we've bought some equipment. So, you know, if you look at our finances, we've already made, that's not finances, there we go. We've already made $100,000, basically. And it's 10 o'clock on day one. That was something you could never do in 2013. So it's nice to see. But with that said, I think we got to call it the end of an episode here. What's next? Real quick, before we go. Fertilizing again. That would be a nice one to do. But I think we'll have to save that for the next episode. We've got $42,000. We started with $15,000. We're up to $42,000. So we made about $27,000 this episode, all from doing jobs on this one field. And look at our reputation with James Harris now. We've got him up about halfway. The price of this field is down to $76,000. Eventually, because of all the work that we do, we're going to be able to buy this field at a significantly discounted price. And that may be something that we do pretty quickly here. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. It's been fun doing some missions here with you today. If you liked the video, please like or subscribe. And otherwise, I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.